Welcome, Vinay, to the episode of Esprit Talks from CSPRE, a platform where we all live, love, and learn psychology. In this podcast, I, Ashvi, will be the host, and today we will be talking about psychology and environment around us. For our episode, we have Vinay, a visionary psychotherapist who specializes in eco psychology and has extensive knowledge in gestalt psychology. Glad to have you here, Vinay.
Thank you, Ashvi. Glad to be here.
Yeah. So let's start off then. Could you tell us your journey of becoming an established psychotherapist and eco psychologist?
Okay, so I actually belong to a Marwari business class family. And while being there in the 11th, 12th, I had commerce and I was somehow not happy with what I was reading or what I was studying. And I stumbled upon a book which I can't remember for the love of my life, which was about psychology, about a lady who was going through a depressive episode. And that sort of intrigued me into understanding what human psyche is or human behavior is and why it is so complicated. Why is it so beautifully complex? And I started reading about it. By the time it was 12th, I realized that I'm not into commerce anymore and I would like to move into psychology. And that's when my parents also supported me for, I don't know how, they supported me. And I ventured into psychology and I started my psychology journey with Manipal. I would say the bachelor's was something, it was intriguing. For the first time, I was properly studying psychology and not just, reading articles, reading random books,
Right,
but properly studying psychology. I was
right.
fascinated. Like, I think everybody relates with it. Every bachelor, every master's will relate with me. That whenever there's this disorder that comes in, which you're studying, there are aspects of it which you relate with yourself. You're like, ये तो मैं हूँ, है ना? तो वो इतनी बार हो गया था कि I was like, ये भी मैं हो क्या, ये भी मैं हो क्या, ये वाला हो सकता हूँ क्या? And they were everybody around me was also like, ये हम है क्या, ये हम है क्या? But it was uh, such a fun journey to go through that because once you start studying psychology, you start understanding yourself. You start looking inwards. All this while you have been looking outwards. You have been looking at this person, that person, that person. Now you actually start looking inwards. And I would say that this is what psychology did to me. So
I
after
come.
bachelor's, yeah, absolutely. I think everybody would. And
Hmm.
so after bachelor's, I had this option of dropping psychology. But somehow I was like, no, I'm still very into it. I think there's more to psychology than what bachelor has given me. Uh, I started doing internships, working at different places, uh, a few government hospitals, and I realized that psychology is something which is, or just mental health in general, is something which is dearly required in India, but you don't have the services, you don't have the quality, you don't have the expertise and the skills to, provide that quality of mental health that is required right now. And that sort of pushed me to masters. And I started my masters in symbiosis, which is in Pune. And I can't tell you, the journey was beautiful. I ended up being in uh, uh, so during the COVID time was my second year of masters. That was my masters was in the second year, and I was working with this psychiatrist, a very renowned psychiatrist. And under him, I learned how to, assess people, understand people, use those tests and everything, and understand what this person is coming with. Their case study, create case study, study. There was an asylum, so we were able to keep them there and understand what's happening, work with them, do counseling sessions, under, of course, everything under supervision. But the more I was going into psychology, the more I kept realizing more about myself. And more than anything else, that was something that was very intriguing. Uh, so, and then I realized that no, this is I want to move forward. I want to do more research. I want to be in this field. I want to learn something. I want to research something, and then I want to put that to use. So I took a job in Bangalore. I was living in Jaipur before that because of COVID. And after that, I moved to Bangalore and I started working with this company, which was working on uh, infertile couples, people who were going through IVF, IUI, who were not able to have babies. And
Right.
we were trying to find a behavioral health solution. A behavioral health solution क्या होता है? आपने बोला भाई मेंटल हेल्थ है, फिजिकल हेल्थ है, उन दोनों को मिला लो, उसके साथ वो आपका behavioral health बन जाता है. Basically, an holistic approach to your wellness. Now, to do that, you have to have some experience. I had no experience. So I learned from the scratch. I learned from my mistakes. And my boss was very lenient with me, very patient with me. He ended up, this was again while my master's was going on. So my dissertation is going on, and I'm doing other research. And I'm creating packages with subject-wise, what do you say, uh, subject-wise matters. Sorry, can you cut? I think did a boo-boo here.
It's fine. You can
Okay.
continue.
Yeah. So yeah, so I started working with different experts into understanding how we can uh, use different fields of science, be it nutrition, yoga, physical health, and use that to improve the quality of life of all these infertile couples. People who are having PCOD, PCOS, erection dysfunction, erectile dysfunction, and we ended up creating a lot of packages, a lot of services, and we were able to see the benefit that people were experiencing. So from the forefront, I was seeing the research aspect of it, going towards the implementation, and it was amazing. And then I was hooked. Before that, I was like 70-80% into psychology, trying to understand if this was I will be able to make a career out of it. But after a while, I was at this job, I was hooked. I was completely hooked. I was like, yeah, this is it. Let's see where this goes.
Yeah, that was beautiful. Could you give us a brief about eco psychology and how it helps individuals connect with nature and improve their mental health?
Yeah. So while this job was going on, I kept wondering that there's some aspect that is missing in this holistic approach that we have. We are looking at the person's nutrition, we are looking at their mental health, we are looking at their physical health, we are looking at their social support, we are looking at, a lot of other things. But we are still missing something, and I kept feeling there's something. I was like, I've read CBT, I've read DBT, I've done REBT, I've done so many other, because in masters you read all of it. And I was like, there's something that's missing there. There's something that's missing, and I just could not pinpoint. That's when I was introduced to eco psychology. Now, eco psychology explores the relationship between you and nature, human and nature, and how we behave, interact, and benefit from nature. That's eco psychology in a nutshell. The study of it, the entire study of it, is eco psychology. Now, when I got introduced to it, it was through a story of a person who was coming from a tribal area and coming back to Bangalore city. And she was telling me that when I was coming, when I was in the tribal city, when tribal area, all that forest, beautiful hills and everything, I was so calm. I was so peaceful. I was having a jolly time. And the minute I stepped into that urban area, the minute I started seeing buildings, instantly I was thinking about my bills. Instantly I was thinking about what to do tomorrow. What about day after tomorrow? Oh, this is pending. Oh, that is pending. And then it hit me, oh, wow, there is something that was missing, and that was nature. Nature was missing in everything that I was doing. So I started reading about psychology, eco psychology. And that's when I was introduced to Mr. Theodore Roszak. His books and his research put me in a place where I started thinking, oh wow, I had no idea nature had this effect. Of course, all this time I used to go to Himachal, I used to go to all these hilly areas, knowing that it would de-stress me, it would put me in a good mood, good place. But I never thought of it from a therapeutic point of view. Or, of course, coming out of that four-wall space, sitting outside and having a therapy session, counseling session, of course, great benefits. But there's more to it, and that's when eco psychology came in. And uh, I think when I started reading more about it, I researched for I guess almost a year and a half before we thought of doing something with it. Like I kept reading. I have like tons of articles, tons of research, which I kept going through, which made me realize the quality and the essence that is missing in our life because there's lack of nature. Yeah.
That was very, very interesting. Can you explain the core principles of eco psychology and how it differs from traditional psychology?
So I would say most of the therapies that we look at are somehow egocentric. And when I say egocentric, they talk about your thoughts. They talk about your irrational beliefs. They talk about how you interact with you interact with society, how you interact with other people, relationships, other objects. Eco psychology talks about egocentric. Sorry, ecocentric. So from ego to eco, we move. And when we move to eco, we start talking about being one with nature, interacting more with nature, where uh, our existence is symbiotically and uh, intricately connected with our surrounding, our nature. And when there's a change there, we see a change with it. Now that's your ecocentric approach. Now, through that, if you actually improve the area around you, if you make it more greener, if you make it more prosperous, you'll see the same change in you. So that's the main difference that we see between nature related therapies and general therapies, conventional therapies. Now, what I use in my approach is a mixture of both. I use nature as a catalyst and use Gestalt, CBT, DBT, REBT as the main approach. So the mixture of these two work really well. I get the best of this world and this world. Now, there's one more thing that we as humans tend to forget, that we are in a very beautiful symbiotic relationship with nature. Okay. There's something called biophilia effect or the biophilia hypothesis, which basically talks about how intricately we are connected to nature. And by being in nature, we can actually reduce the stress that we have, be more calm, be more reflective, be more here and now. And if that happens, just think of it, the effect of being in here and now, being calm in your therapeutic relationship, in your therapeutic work. Now, that is what we have been exploring all this time. And we have been seeing some credible and amazing results. I mean, at least so far. And I would say that was one thing that was missing, and I'm really happy that I found it, and I'm just going deeper into it.
That's great. That's great. What are some common issues or challenges that people face that can help address it?
Uh, so what nature will do for them?
Yeah, like what are some common issues or challenges people face that eco psychology can help address, right?
I mean everything. Uh, I would say if you look at drug abuse, ADHD, depression, anxiety, OCD, body issues, body image issues, um, what else? Everything. You see that nature when you remove that ego out of it, when you remove the I, me, myself out of it, and you immerse with nature, all these all these issues sort of find a space uh, you know to understand what's happening. So you get a place for you to understand what's happening. For example, uh, I've been working with uh, a client of mine who has ADHD, adult ADHD, and I took a few sessions with him in nature. Now, while being in nature, what we were exploring was where is this restless and hyperactivity is coming, and can we use nature to reduce that hyperactivity? Now, of course, I was using the modalities that I had in just all CBT, but I was trying to use them with nature. And what I was able to see, this client was actually far more receptive to the techniques and the processes that I was making him go through, and even the things that I was asking him, because he was in nature, because I was able to ground him, because I was able to put him to a place where he felt restful, he felt safe, he felt as if he belongs there. And when he was able to do that, he was able to let go of all the hyperactivity. It took us there. It took us some time to get there. 15, 20, half an hour, it took us there. But once that happened, we saw credible work happen. And since then, I've been asking him to meet me in nature as much as possible. And that's one of the reasons why our work has been good. Yeah. So
That was
that's
a
just
very
ADHD. Yeah. Please go ahead.
yeah, that was a very innovative approach, right? So, what changes or benefits do you observe in clients who undergo eco psychological therapy?
Hmm. Uh, well, one of the things that I do see in them is their restlessness will go down significantly. Uh, the amount of uh, thinking that they have, or the irrational belief that they have, the way they approach their problems, sort of tends to calm down, sort of tends to find a new narrative. Focusing on this word narrative because we use nature and the adaptive stories to create a new narrative for them to find a space where whatever uh, things they're working with, which somehow nature will put them in that place. It will project that for them, and they then work with it. So even people who had body issues, I worked with transgender, and what we saw was that they were able to relate very well with nature. When they were in nature, uh, they did not feel that they were not able to belong. That was one of the things that the client was coming with. That wherever I go, I don't feel a sense of belonging. Now, when she was there, she was able to feel like, you know what, this is my space. I can be whatever I want to be here. I don't feel that I'm being judged. I don't feel that I'm being scrutinized. I can be vulnerable here. And when she was in that spot, in that mindset, our work happened. And since then, she has been using nature every day. You don't have to go to a park, a national park, or a forest to experience it. Nature therapy or eco psychology will come to you in your house. Just a simple pot, and that's all you need. So yeah, I've seen a lot of changes in my clients with regards to my work with them using nature. But one of the most, I would say, the one of the thing that stands out between all of them is being able to be in the here and now, not being in the past or the future, in the present.
Amazing. How do you see the relationship between human well-being and the natural environment in the modern day?
We are at a place in our life where every day we hear stories about climate change, where we hear stories about floods, drought, famine, forest fires, and it puts a lot of strain in what we are feeling. I was living in Bangalore for almost 5 years, and I've seen the city change from being a retirement place to a place where people are now, what has happened to the weather? And you know that change in weather can be seen in the people, it can be seen in people's mood. For example, this year, it didn't rain for 3 months in Bangalore. From January to March end, it didn't rain. And for those 3 months, you can see that people were visibly irritated, that people were visibly upset. And the minute there was rain, their mood changed. Now, again, nature is not just being in the forest, being on the beaches, rivers, seas, or something. Nature is everything. Sky is nature, stars are nature, clouds are nature. Just being in, uh, something which is naturally there, is a part of eco psychology. So when there was a weather change, we saw that people were seeing a change in themselves, in their mood and everything. And when they were going for a nature walk, they were finding that they have a very close relationship with nature. And when there's a shift in nature, they feel that shift in themselves. All if you look at Indian society, uh, all our major festivals, be it Holi, Baisakhi, are uh, they're associated with nature, changes in nature. Uh, I'm a Jain, so we have something called Bhadwa. For almost a month, we keep fast. We do a lot of religious work. That's because it's the rainy season. The amount of bacteria that's there in everywhere is a lot. So you eat very minimal, sattvic, peace food, so that your stomach is better. You do a lot of meditation. You do a lot of spiritual and religious work there. Now, why we do it? Because in this point of the year, our body is actually weak because of so much bacteria being there. You have to keep a check on our immunity. If we do that, and if we go through this period, we actually see that the body comes out really strong. during the winter's end. So yeah, so as I was saying that there is a lot that we see in the modern world. Uh, People when they are in cities, they're not happy. They're just running around. They're just moving from here to here to here to here, not pausing and looking around what's happening. When was the last time you actually paused and looked around where you are? What was the last time when you looked at it and you're like, wow, what is this? Yeah,
No clue. To be
no
honest, no
clue.
clue. They're just like busy in schedules every day, just meeting deadlines to everything.
Yeah, I can understand that. So, in Bangalore, in March, you have cherry blossoms everywhere. Okay. And you see the smile on people's faces whenever they cross a cherry blossom tree. Yeah. They may be in the shittiest mood possible. But the minute they're under a cherry blossom tree, if they have a cherry blossom flower in their hand, their mood is great.
The fall
So,
of cherry blossom is beautiful.
oh yeah, absolutely. It's something that I miss. I'm not in Bangalore right now, so I'm gonna be there in March when it happens. But you can see how much we are affected by now because of climate change. You can see that there is this restlessness in people that they can't understand, they can't put it into words, but there's some restlessness when it's too hot, when it's too cold, when it's too rainy, because the change in the weather patterns that we are not used to, that our body is not used to. You will see that in your mood, you will see that in your body, you will see that in your life. Only if you're aware, you'll be able to notice. Yeah.
I can see how that has created a sense of passion inside you. Okay, moving forward. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, since the world is so vast and the geographical landscape is so different, are there
Mm.
particular demographics or population that benefit more from eco-psychological approaches?
No, everybody's same. Everybody's intricately a part of nature. You, me, somebody in Africa, somebody in US, UK, everybody is the same. They are as much as a part of nature as a tiger in the woods.
I
No
see.
different. No different.
Okay. So, what is gestalt psychology and how has it changed from historical roots to modern day?
So Gestalt was, if you are, I'm sure you must be reading about Gestalt right now. It There's Gestalt psychology that looks at the wholeness of different things. It will draw a diagram, okay, which makes no sense, and then you will make a sense out of it when you look at it. Yeah, you look at those two parallel lines, which are supposed to be equidistant from each other, but when you look at them, they feel that this one is narrow, this one is closer, and this one is not. Yeah, something like that. That's the psychology part of it. Now comes the therapy. From the psychology, it moved to therapy uh, uh, because of Mr. Pearls. He was a renowned gestalt therapist in US. He was the pioneer who shaped the modern understanding of Gestalt. And what he saw in Gestalt is something that I still resonate with, which is the wholeness of a being. That you and I are playing different roles, different parts at different places, in different age, in different circumstances, and different situations. Understanding and knowing all of these parts, becoming aware of it, becoming, accepting it, is what Gestalt therapy is. Now, when I say the wholeness of a being, you may say that, okay, for example, I am a psychologist. I am a psychologist, I'm a Jain, I'm a son, I'm a friend, or something. Now, these are things that I accept. And I accept because socially, this is accepted. People will look at me and they'll be like, oh, he's a psychologist. Yeah. So that's the part with which they are accepting and I'm accepting. But there's also a part of me that I am not accepting. And I don't accept it because the society doesn't accept it. That's a shadow. This was the persona part. Okay. This all talks about integrating both the shadow and the persona, being okay with both of them. You know that you're not okay with this. The shame, the guilt, the sexual deviancies, uh, you know, um, those anger issues. all of it that you're not okay with, you become okay with. From the shadow, bring it to the light and be with the persona. Because when it's in the shadow, it will do the shadow work. From the from the dark side, it will operate, and you will not know what's happening. The stall works on integrating these both. Now that's one part. The other is, of course, as I was saying, that there are different selves. Okay, I'm 27 years old. So Gestalt says that if you're 27-year-old, you behave and act as if you're 27 years old. Have that same emotional maturity, understanding, and that inner child that you had when you were 14, 15, 16, maybe 10, 12, 9 is not operating anymore. And when I say an inner child, what I mean is that there's something that was not completed when you were 10. Some love, some affection, some intimacy that was required when you were 10, 12, 14, which was not given to you. And you still long for it. And now when you're 27, you're still being that child inside. And whenever there's somebody showing you love, it's not the 27-year-old that reacts to it. It's the child that reacts to it adversely and compromises the situation. So Gestalt is also becoming aware of it and working through it and becoming a complete person in the here and now. That
Ma-
that's just right.
Makes sense. Okay. So, how does Gestalt therapy differ from other forms of psychotherapy in terms of its approach and technique?
Hmm. So the one is wholeness of a being. So Gestalt will look at different parts of you and be like सबके साथ बढ़िया रहो, ठीक है, सबको सबको साथ में लेके चलो, जब जिसकी जरूरत है उसको बाहर लेके आओ और फिर वापस पीछे रखो. TBT works on your thought processes, your behavior. So it misses out on the wholeness of it, which I feel. Of course, CBT has its own usage, not undermining that therapy, but a combination of different therapies works. But so that's CBT. Now, when you look at, let's say, REBT, it looks at irrational beliefs and keeps working on that irrational belief, emotive uh, experiences that we have, and it doesn't move beyond it. That's the drawback and the limitation of REBT. If you look at any other therapy, if you look at the Freudian approach, I mean, the Freudian approach is as ancient as it should be. And when we look at a person just from a Freudian approach, we are not able to move beyond their uh, sexual issues, beyond their sexual deviancies, uh, what they have not been able to accomplish or look at. We're not seeing a person uh, from where they are coming from, where they are right now. In Gestalt, irrespective of what the person has lived the entire life, when they're coming in front of you, what are they coming with? That is something that you work with. In CBT, you end up working with a lot of things that are not there. The person is not dealing with it right, but they're still working with it. Why? So that's Gestalt for me. Of course, there are a lot of other things that Gestalt entails. We can go we can go about it for hours because Gestalt is enormous. Everything is Gestalt. Okay,
Yeah.
Gestalt becomes, yeah, the uh, the movement from restlessness to silence is Gestalt. Movement from irritation to calmness, from restlessness to calmness is Gestalt. Yeah. So that's Gestalt. And in Gestalt, you see all those neuralistic programming. You see art therapy. You see dance movement therapy. Because Gestalt is your breath, your movement, and your body, and the combination of these things, where you move from your mind to your body as much as possible. Because in your mind, you're always someplace else. In your body, you're here. So it's putting you here. That's the Gestalt work.
Right, that was pretty interesting. There was a statement you said Freud is like as ancient approach as it can be, but still it
Yeah.
is considered the most important approach in a student's syllabus, like while we are graduating and all.
Hmm.
Like,
Hmm.
Freud is still like it can be as ancient as it can be, but it will be the topmost priority of every psychology book, I guess.
Mm. So why
Right.
is that?
Like, I don't know, but Freud is like a major part of psychology that can never be like
Yeah.
neglected, even though how much hate people can show towards Freudian approaches.
It's not hate. So see, over time, all the therapies, all the theories keep adapting, and they have to, keeping in mind how people are changing, how society is changing. Psychology will change. Now, when you're in HKG or you're in lower KG, you start with ABCD, right? You don't start with integration. No, no. So Freud is like that ABCD, and you understand the psyche of Freud behind all his theories, all his approaches. Because until you understand that, you will not be able to understand from where psychology has moved and where it is now. Because now, when you start reading something like, let's say, I don't know, just all which started in 1970s, but which found its place in 1970s, uh, or person-centered therapy, which around the same time found its space. You will not be able to understand why it is there. Why was the need of such a thing? And you might move to a place where you're like, oh, but sex also plays a part, right? And you will go back to Freud. But you have read Freud, and then you move forward. You realize, okay, so this is the change. This is the reason why this was discarded. This is the reason why this was accepted. Or this is the reason why people are now using this more than what they were using earlier. So this is how progress happens in psychology. In a few years, you and I might be talking about something completely different. A new therapy or theory might just come up.
Right. Right.
We never know. I hope it's eco psychology, but but yeah, it will keep on adapting, and it's very important for us to read about Freud because that man was um, a genius with very beautiful problems, and his work really enlightens us about how psychology was viewed and how it's still viewed.
Right. Okay. Let's get back to just all.
Yeah,
Okay. Can we discuss the significance of body language and non-verbal communication in gestalt therapy?
yeah. Okay, so there was this one research paper that came out in the 1970s. I think it was Albert, I can't remember the surname. And what he said was that the way we communicate with a person, verbal and non-verbal, uh, in that aspect, for example, you and I are talking right now, and in this entire conversation, the percentage of you understanding my words or the importance of words in this communication is just 7%. Okay. 37 is the tonal, 37 or 38% is the tonal tone that I use right now. And the rest, around 55%, if I'm not wrong, yeah, maybe 55% or yeah, 57% is the body language. Now, the communication that we're having, if the majority is focusing on, our non-verbal communication, then the body works becomes very important. Now, if I'm like this, you will make a sense of it how I'm speaking. If I'm talking to you like this, there's a different thing that you are able to understand about me. Okay. And what I say, what you understand, there's a very different, very subtle change that will happen. You may not be consciously aware of it, but unconsciously you will keep registering the changes, right?
Right.
So
Right.
yeah. So if you look at that, you'll realize that if we are able to communicate with our body in a more open manner, the communication that we have with the other person will change. The same words can be said in 15 different ways with 15 different body movements and tone. If you have a tonal change, uh, uh, the meaning changes completely. I think there was this one video by uh, where Rajkumar Rao, the actor, actually exhibited. He said that "ladka aa gaya." He says that in 15 different, 10 or 12 different ways. Okay, गुस्से में, घबराहट में, खुश होके, and every time the tone changes, the meaning of the line changes, and he's saying the same thing. He's like "ladka aa gaya." That's it. That's the entire thing that he's saying. but the meaning changes completely. लड़का आ गया, लड़का आ गया, see, लड़का आ गया, क्या बात कर रहे हो, लड़का आ गया, see, so line वही है, but what you're understanding is completely different now. So tone and body language makes all the difference. And if you see right now, all everywhere you go, all the workshops that are happening are focusing on body movement, and that's where Gestalt comes in because it talks a lot about, as I was saying, breath, body, and movement. Now, when you move, you're able to understand your body better. When you move, you're able to understand the blocks of your body. Everything that you do, for example, if you're experiencing stress, your body will show it. In the here and now, it will show you. If you're happy, your body will show it. If you're sad, your body will show it. It's up to you if you're ready to listen to your body. If you're ready to let your body speak louder than your words. And Gestalt makes you aware of your body so that what's happening more than the other person, you are aware of it. You are able to understand, okay, this is what my body is trying to tell me. Uh, in psychology, you will see that most of the disorders. Okay, the first question that we ask is, how are you sleeping? Any body pain? Um, any heaviness in the body? Now, why is that? Because the stress is kept in the body. The trauma is in the body. It's not in the head. The head will not keep it. The head will show you the images, but it's the emotions that the body keeps. It's the stress that the body keeps. And through breath, through movement, through body work, we're able to release it and become aware of it. And that's what Gestalt has been working on, and that's what hundreds of Gestalt therapists all around the country and the world has been doing. Yeah.
That was pretty interesting. Okay.
Mm.
So, can you provide an example of any gestalt technique or exercise that you frequently use with your clients and explain its benefits?
Hmm. I would say the number one is empty chair. So there are different ways you can use empty chair process. So empty chair is me having a conversation with a literal empty chair, okay, where I'm projecting something. Now that's mostly facilitated by a therapist or a facilitator. But let's say just it's just me and the chair. Now I can project my lover there, my father there, my mother there, my wife there, my friend there, my kutta there, myself there, and have a conversation. Something that I can't do in the real life, which I am unable to process with everything that's been going on in my life. And it's not restricted to just a person. It can be your grief, it can be your anger, it can be that inner child, it can be anybody, because everybody that you want to have a conversation with is inside you. Whatever you're putting out is nothing but a projection, right? The way you look at me, the way you understand me, you, uh, is through your projection of me. Actually, sorry, the projection of you, of me, on me. Okay. So similarly, आप अपने माता पिता को एक तरीके से देखते हैं, ठीक है, वो रियलिटी में चाहे कोई भी हो, आपकी अंडरस्टैंडिंग कुछ और है उनके बारे में. So when you have a conversation with that projection, your relationship with them changes. Yeah. And when you see a change in that relationship, you see a change in the real life as well. So वो प्रोजेक्शन ही है जो हम यहाँ से उठा के वहां जा रहे हैं, जो रियल लाइफ में दिख रहा है. So empty chair has been amazing. I use my empty chair very frequently in my work. Uh, I use a lot of uh, body work in my approach. Um, as I said, I use a lot of nature. So nature with Gestalt works very beautifully because Gestalt also talks about eco psychology in some respect. So the work that we do with nature using Gestalt is my favorite thing.
Right. Can you explain a bit more about how, if you combine the two approaches, gestalt and eco psychology, how does it work?
Hmm. Okay, so as I was saying that I use nature as a catalyst, right? Now, when you use nature as a catalyst, your primary focus is to reduce the restlessness of the person, remove the past and the future, put them in the here and now, and then move with the processes. So that is done and taken care by nature. I ask them to do a very simple thing. Either I ask them to ground themselves, breathe there, hug a tree, or become aware of their senses. What are they able to hear? What are they able to see? Is there something smell? Is there a smell that they're able to take? What are they able to touch? And if you take a breath through your mouth in nature, you will also get a taste. So all the five senses are engaged. Now, if all the five senses are engaged, you are in the here and now. You're not in the past. You're not in the future. And from there, we take our work forward. From there, let's say I want to work with a client's um, anger towards the mother. Okay. Now, I will take them to a place where we can sit, and hopefully we'll find a few boulders. And on one of the boulders, the client will project his mother or anything that we're working with, and we have a conversation. Now, because they're in a place where they're more receptive, they're more open, they're more accepting, they're more prone to move and work better. In a four-wall space, they might feel agitated. A lot of people are not okay with a closed space. But in nature, because of the openness, it uplifts your mood. It puts you in a place where you're more, uh, you're more receptive to new things and you're okay with changes. That's what nature does to you. So when that happens, everything that we are doing just becomes better. So combining not just distort, but any theory with nature is something that I suggest and advise and recommend to every therapist out.
Right. Okay, moving forward. As it is a lesser known field, could you talk us about the skepticism and criticism of eco psychology and how do you deal with those skeptics?
So one of the things that I get very often is this nature that um, city में क्या दिक्कत है? City is also nature, but no, it's very different. It's very different, and only the people who have not actually been in a forest space or a green space will say something like that. And the second thing that think is that I've been to natural spaces so many times. I don't see a change in me. I'm able to relax there, but when I come back, it's the same thing, right? So it's what I ask him to do is go with a eco psychologist or a facilitator who knows what they're doing in nature and see for yourself how intricately connected you are to nature and how beautifully nature works with you and for you. Yeah. So I don't see a lot of limitation in this approach, to be honest. I don't find them. The criticism that we mostly get is about the danger as well. That being in nature can be very dangerous. You might encounter some wild animal, wild insect, snakes. And to be honest, I've been into I don't know how many forests in India, in different spaces. And just yesterday, I was in a forest space, and I can't tell you I have not experienced danger to my life as of yet. So the thing is that as much as you are afraid of the animals, they are afraid of you as well. So that's one of the things. But yeah, nothing much to it. Um, Initially, people have a little bit of skeptics. They're skeptical because they don't know what they find there. What if they're just too many insects? But somehow, when you're in nature and you become okay with the insect, that if you were to see in your house, you become weird out or restless. But if you see that insect in nature, you're somehow okay with it. You're like, हाँ ये तो यहाँ तो रहेगा ही ना, यहाँ तो मिलेगा ही ना. Yeah, I've had people, have seen spiders crawl people and they're okay. They're like, हाँ ठीक है, it's going ना. But if they were to see, yeah, see, but if they were to see that same spider in their house, they'll freak out. This is what nature does to you. So, Ashli, I also invite you to be in nature. Yeah. And possibly if someday we are in the same city, I would love to take you for a walk. And what we are talking about right now, for you to experience it, firsthand. Not a spider crawling your body, which is you seeing a spider and being okay with it. That's all.
That was pretty interesting. Okay. So, where do you see the future of eco psychology headed, especially with increasing awareness of environmental issues?
See, with COPA happening, so many different treaties that are being signed, so much work, so much awareness being generated about being sustainable, going more eco, right? I see that people will realize that one of the aspects that they're missing in their life, the restlessness they're experiencing, uh, can be reduced by nature. The quality of life they're experiencing requires nature, and when that happens, uh, this thing is going to go up. It's already going up. It's already going up in the last 12, 15 years. It has shot up, and now India and Indian therapists are also accepting it, moving more towards nature, doing more retreats in nature, using more nature in their work. And I see that especially due to the climate change, uh, they will experience, uh, they will use nature more in their work, and people will be will be more drawn towards nature because that's where they'll find that rest, that peace, that escape from the reality that city is. Our cities are horrible, plainly horrible. Okay, different cities I've lived in, I won't say that any of them are habitable. Okay, they're just in construction mode 24 by 7 for the past 10, 15 years. And right now they're in a situation where you just see buildings. You go to Bangalore, there was a time it was called the Garden City. And now you don't see the greenery anymore. You see buildings after business park, this park, that park, tech park. And people are sort of tired of it. They like to go back to their roots. See, you and I have been living in nature. Uh, our ancestors have been living in nature for basically their entire existence. And it's in the last 200 years that we have lived in the cities, especially in the last 40, 15 years, where we have seen nature becoming, nature being taken away from us and us being in city. And we are not adapted to it. And because we are not adapted to it, uh, we don't know what to do. So when people say going back to their roots and everything, it's actually going back to the roots and connecting with that nature, that place, that lake, that hill, and finding that you're not just a person who's doing a job from 10 to 6 or a person who's supposed to pay bills. You're more than that. That's where we start feeling like, yeah, this is not working out. This is not me. I'm just not a person who's supposed to, every month on the first, I'm supposed to pay my rent. On the third, my EMI. On fifth, something else. On 10th, something else. This is not me. There's something bigger than that. Of course, this is something that will keep on going on. But you need to have a sense of belonging at some place. Everywhere I go, people talk to me about their loneliness because they're so distant and dissociated with everybody, with themselves, with the environment, with the people around them, with everything, because they're not able to relate with it. We work a lot on creating a space where people can relate to other people, can relate with nature, and more importantly, relate with themselves. And when we do that, you see that then people don't complain of being or feeling lonely. And what I see is a movement towards more forest, more nature. Most of people are moving back to hilly areas, small towns. Like Goa is booming, Himachal is booming, Rishikesh is booming because people are understanding that this is not what they were intended to live like. And now they're moving, they're realizing, and they're trying to see, especially the Gen Z. I'm so happy that I'm a Gen Z. I'm not a millennial. I'm so sorry, millennials. You went through a lot for us, and I'm so glad that you did. Now we will take it from here, and we'll make the world a better place. Yeah.
Right, right.
Yeah.
I believe, but a person like me would get bored of like living in those solace and tranquil places for like I would live for a month, but then I
Yeah.
would be like, I want the city hustle bustle back. To be honest,
Are you sure? Are you looking at the restlessness of the city as something that you need?
like it if it's keeping you busy.
Okay, so why do you need to be busy? Is the question that you may have to ask yourself at one place at one point in your life. Why do you need to be busy? Why do you need this something constant, something to be there? You're not questioning you, but just saying that, yeah.
Right. Okay. It's going great. So we are moving on to some audience questions.
Okay.
Moving on. In
Hmm.
India, how can one become a eco-psychologist or study distort psychology?
Okay, so there are different organizations that are there in India. So there is Indian Association for Clinical Psychologists. Uh, there is Indian Association for Humanistic Psychologists, where you do a lot of where you have a lot of therapies there, not just restorative, but other therapies also. There are different diploma certification courses all around the country. There are few in Mumbai, Delhi, uh, and you can do from there. Of course, in India, you don't have uh, as such an organization that gives you a certificate in eco psychology, but outdoor therapy is something that you can learn. You can do a certificate course in India. There are a lot of online courses that you can do, and you can see what it comes up. There's one institute called Gestalt Therapy Training Center in India. They offer specialized courses. I think they have a year long course in Gestalt, and what I've heard is it's amazing. Yeah. So eco
Okay.
psychology is something that needs more centers, needs more uh, certificate courses, and I think we are moving there. There are different therapists that are coming up with their certificate courses in aligned with different organizations around the world. Uh, for example, there is NHS Forest, UK. There is Nippon College in Japan. Then there is an organization called NARI, UK, US. If I'm able to remember, I think it was National Health and Environmental Effects Research Laboratory. Yes, that is one that is in US. They are amazing. The European Center for Environment and Human Health, NHS Forest, that's UK. So they are doing some amazing work, research, and they provide a lot of assistance to people who want to move into this field, work with nature, do sustainable work, understand how nature works with humans, how nature works with our psyche, our behavior, our physical health. Yeah. I actually missed one point if I can go back to it, if that's okay.
Sure.
There's one thing that we forgot to talk about, which is how nature is not just beneficial to your mental health, but it's also beneficial to your physical health. So there's something called terpenes that are found in forest areas, okay, in where you have a lot of trees. And what happens is that when you inhale those terpenes, they work as they work on your killer cells that you have in your body, and it activates them, because of which you end up having great immunity for the next 2 3 weeks. Now, for trees, terpenes is how they communicate between two trees. They use terpenes to communicate, but for humans, it increases the immunity. So, if you remember, I we used to hear that whenever there was some issue with somebody, some physical ailment, asthma, tuberculosis, high fever, or something, people were suggested to go to a natural space. Bangalore used to be one of those spaces where people used to come for retreats for retirement and go to, the all those areas, green spaces, uh, heal themselves by taking walks in nature and come back stronger and healthier. So it's not just your mental health that nature improves; it's also your physical health. And the combination of these two is something that we see that is missing in most of the work that we do in our daily life. And if you have nature in your daily life, if you interact with nature in your daily life, you will see that you're mostly good. First of all, it affects your stress levels. So that's like great thing. Low chances of cardiovascular diseases, low chances of diabetes, low chances of BP, sugar is diabetes, and just just great immunity and even a better mood. Yeah.
Okay, I see. Okay, so moving on. What are some resources like books, videos, online websites would you recommend for eco psychology?
So there is Biophilia Effect by Clemens G. Arvey. It was the first book that I read. Biophilia Effect is basically it talks about the intricate relationship that humans and nature have, the symbiotic relationship that we share. So that's one book. With Nature in Mind by Andy McGreeny and The Voice of Earth by Theodore Roszak. I mean, hands down, The Voice of the Earth, best book. It's one of those few books that gives you an idea as a therapist how you can use nature in your own practice. Hands down, great book. Talks talks at length about what people experience there, what you will experience there, what you will uh, through your own experiences you will be able to um, uh, let people know. You can share with people. You can grow the experience for them. Uh, Great book
Okay. Would you recommend to pursue this field in foreign or in India?
for him.
Any particular?
So there's this guy, Rick. I'm forgetting the name. Uh, he is from South Africa, and he actually provides these certificate courses. He actually takes you to different forest areas in Zambia, Zimbabwe, Namibia, and South Africa, where he conducts these month-long certificate courses in nature. You're completely cut off from the outside world, and through your own experiences, you learn to connect with nature. See, eco psychology is nothing but your experiences in nature, how you connect, communicate with nature, and you use that to help people realize how intricately connected they are. So any theory, any therapy that you work with will will focus on the experiences that you have had. So we just all CBT. It demands self work. It demands you being in nature. It demands you being it demands you cultivating a relationship with nature. So that's what he does there, and so that is something that I would suggest people can look up to. Yeah,
Okay. Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing your insights and experience with us. It has been a pleasure having you on the podcast, sir. Thank you
thank
for
you,
paving the right way to ambitious students listening to us.
thank you so much.
Okay. That concludes another thought provoking episode of Esprit Talks from CS Thank you for joining us. Be sure to tune in the next time we continue to explore our psychology and mental health wellness journey. Until then, live, love, and learn psychology with CS.
Many students and many even psychologists have a doubt that social media में presence कितनी important in our life rather than being on the platform like LinkedIn, Instagram, YouTube कितना important है. It is something that puts in some value in your work, but it is not a necessity. Okay, everyone tries to be on social media, LinkedIn, forcing themselves to post. I have had conversation with so many therapists कि हाँ करना पड़ता है, मन नहीं करता, सोच सोच के कि क्या पोस्ट करूँ, कैसे पोस्ट करूँ. There is that pressure that is coming कि हाँ it's okay, it's good to have that what you call, it's good to have that space for yourself, it's good to create your presence on social media, but it's not necessary. You don't have to put all the pressure on yourself.